Hello, I'm David.
Hi, I'm Julie.
Now we're going to do a review and comparison of Ancient Terrible Things Reawakened, 3rd edition, with the 1st/2nd edition. Hopefully you had a chance to check out our how to play and playthrough video. So by the way, this is by Pleasant Company Games. It's for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up. It takes about 60 minutes to play. And the 2nd edition did not have a solo mode, although I think an expansion did. An expansion made it 1 to 4 players. But originally it was 2 to 4 players, same age, takes about 60 minutes. And that the age levels is basically for regulation purposes. You can play with younger people. So let's take a look at what we'll be comparing here.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at the fun gameplay and the theme, art, components, complexity. You can see the list right there. And then we're going to give our rating. So let's give an overview first of what you're doing. So this is a dice game where you are trying to score the most points, finding secrets to a journal. You're on an expedition down a river. And it's whoever has the most points finds a journal. Everybody else gets lost. They lose. And then before you go insane, you toss it into the fire. So it's based on Cthulhu mythos. You're going to be rolling green dice and white dice. You'll be using these green dice to complete locations. So for instance, this card here, you need to get 3 of a kind. That could be 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, or 5s, or 6s, and it's worth 3 points in the upper right-hand corner. So you roll your dice to do that. You can, and there's different difficulties. This is the easiest. This is hard and hardest. So this one right here, you need to get 5 dice that has at least 5 and 6s, and it's worth 10 points. Let me see if I can find a different one here. Here you need to get 3 of a kind. That's at least 2s or higher. So it could be 3 2s, 3 3s. And where's the other one here? Oh, 2 pairs that are at least 2 2s, 2 3s. I mean, 2 2s.
Get a 3, 4, 5, or 6.
You could have 3. You could have 2 3s, 2 4s, 2 5s, 2
Right.
6s, whatever it is. As long as you have 2 pairs, but
Right.
they can't be a pair of 1s.
Right.
Which you need 2 pairs. There are some examples right there. So you go to different locations, and if you're the leader, you get to do the location here on the left, and then everybody gets to do the locations on the right. This gives you ways to refresh cards because you can have swag here that allows you to, like this one right here, you can add a red die. It cannot be re-rolled, so you would exhaust it and then you can refresh it, and then it gives you more dice to complete locations. You have tokens over here to the right. These are mystery tokens. They're called courage tokens in the original, and you can use these to just buy locations. Right here, you can just buy it if you have enough of them and get the 10 points. Feat tokens. These are allowed. You use these to spend on cards, so it costs 1 feat token. And for instance, this one right here allows you to set any one die to a 1 or a 2. That's what you spend feat tokens on for those cards. These are focus tokens, which can be used for certain items to re-roll. And then treasure tokens, which you can use to get swag. And there's the values right there. Sometimes swag can give you additional points at the end of the game. For instance, if you have a set of tokens at the end of the game, you get 2 points for a complete set. Or you can just outright, if you're able to get $7 and buy this, it's worth 5 victory points at the end of the game. So you keep on playing until you're going to have so many locations. Where's the rule book? Depending on how long of a game you want to play. So I show you here on this chart. In a short 2-player game, which is what we did on the how to play video, there'll be 6 of each card. 6 green, 6 yellow, 6 red, and you stack them on top of the other. And you play with 4 tentacles. I'll explain what that is in a minute. But if you want to play a longer game, you play with 5 tentacles. If in a 4-player game, you'd play with 8 of each card in a short game, and 8 tentacles. And so you'll have a different card for each location here. So if you have your 6 green, it'd be up like this. You have 5. And you go to a location. You do the leader action. You get a token. You can buy a card. Spend your mystery tokens to get it. And then you encounter the location. If you fail, you get tentacles. And there's 4 tentacles in a 2-player game. If this is exhausted and you can't draw a tentacle, the game ends. Doesn't matter how many locations are left. Or, in that short version, we would have 18 cards. When you go to refresh, once all cards are done, you refresh. Once all locations have been explored. If you cannot refresh, a number of locations equal to the number of players. So if there was only 1 card left, the game would end because there was not enough cards for us to do it. So you could either run out of cards or run out of tentacles. And tentacles are worth negative points. But you could also spend tentacles, at least in this edition, to get benefits. So you can spend the 0 token there to get a feat card, the 1 tentacle token to get a feat card, or to refresh exhausted cards, you can get a token. And so if you have a 3 tentacle token, you get to do all 3. Because it's worth minus points. So again, then you have objectives. You see those little icons here. If you get a set of cards with these icons, if you have a set of 2, and if someone goes here, you can claim this for 2 victory points. Or if you had 3 when you go there, you can get it for 4 victory points. And then you can steal these from each other. So if somebody has more mystery locations with mystery icons on it, there's no mystery icons.
No, there isn't.
Well, here's one right here. Someone has, so if Julie had 2 mystery, you keep when you complete a location, you keep it off to the side. She had 2, and then I get a 3rd one, and then I go visit there, I can steal it, and then I would have it. So again, you keep on playing until you run out of cards or run out of tentacle tokens, and whoever has the most points wins. So let's take a look now at what we're comparing.
Okay.
So do you think it is fun?
I do. I do, because it's dice.
Right. So Julia really likes dice games. Some people do not like this game because there is a lot of luck. You'll see when you watch the How to Play and Playthrough, one of us got really lucky, and because of that, had double the amount of points. So just know that when you're playing a game like this, when it kind of involves dice, and getting better feat cards, for instance, that's going to help you.
Yeah.
But both versions are fun.
Yes.
We're going to get into the details here and what version you may want to play, because it comes down to the luck mitigation. So the theme, if you like Cthulhu mythos and horror without it being scary.
Yeah, it's not scary at all.
Yeah, not like Texas Chainsaw by Funko or by Trick or Treat Studios. This game does not scare Julie.
No, I like this one because it doesn't scare me.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Oh yeah, very creepy.
But it's not scary.
No.
So that's why the age level is fine. You can go younger with this. Art. So the art in this one, both art is different, although they brightened it. In this version of the game, you can see things better. Now I'm going to show you the art, the cards in the original. They're a lot darker.
Oh my goodness, look at that, yeah.
Okay, if you compare here,
wow,
see the difference?
Yeah.
So, in fact, there's even black text here that you cannot see. I think we missed it even the first time we played it a long time ago. See that black text there?
Not without my glasses on. Oh, I see some dark, but I can't read it.
So they didn't bother to put the explanation of how to read these dice. But I remember the first time we played it, I couldn't see it anyway. It was like we noticed it later.
Oh.
So the art is the same, except they brightened it. They did what's like a gamma correction.
Okay.
They increased the brightness and contrast. Okay.
Yep.
So I prefer it being brighter in this one than
I definitely
the
like the
original.
brighter.
Heck, I mean, it's even hard to read.
Yeah, on that board.
On this board compared.
This one's so much nicer and brighter.
See, it's about the same, except they have the dark lines going through it.
Right.
Yeah. So it is brighter. Now the characters look kind of goofy. It's the same art for the characters. The art on the character, I mean, it's a stylistic thing. It's the same. Now,
it's the same.
That's an expansion, but the expansion is included in the Kickstarter edition of the 3rd edition. So it is what it is. It's not the best people art.
No, but that's okay.
That's okay. It's still creepy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, components. So the components are the same. The card quality. Let me make sure. No, card quality is better. So the original card quality in the first, second edition is just card stock. It does not have a linen finish. Now, linen finish means that it has a foil stamp on it. So the card quality is better in the 3rd edition.
Okay.
Dice-wise, these are wooden dice. But
I like the other dice.
I prefer when we played it, we played the first. I prefer the. I guess you could say the clear dice.
Yeah.
Now you could get a situation where the green gets kind of lost a little bit, but there's no other colors that are green, so you know it's green.
Yeah, exactly.
So I do like the clear dice better.
I do too.
In terms, okay, so the boards are the same thickness, except these are inset.
I like that better.
So the third edition has inset because you do need to have these cards here. This determines when you roll dice and you can't use them to complete a location, or you have extra dice over after you complete a location, you can use them to get resources. So there's a nice little slide on here. In the first/second edition,
there's nothing.
You don't have that.
No.
You have to put it off to the side. So better boards, better cards. I prefer the first, second edition dice. We both agree on
Yes.
that. And now let's take a look at the board.
Okay.
Because we have, let me move these out of the way.
All right.
The board is different. The board quality is the same. You can play, this board can rotate to play long ways.
Oh.
But here is the original board. Again, it's darker. And it's not double-sided.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So there you go. So it's a darker board.
It is a lot darker.
So you do have a location here for the tentacles.
Mm-hmm.
Here you have a whirlpool.
Oh, okay. Well.
There's an expansion with the whirlpool too that has actual tentacles in it. A little mini expansion we haven't tried yet. So let's see what else we're looking at. So component quality, the third edition, other than the dice, is all around better.
Yes.
We just like the dice better. But these dice are fine.
Oh, they're great, yeah.
They are, the wooden dice are inlaid or etched. So they're not stamped.
No.
They are quality wood dice.
Oop.
If I can get it to. So they are quality wood dice. I just like the weight of.
I do too.
This is a little bit weight. This is a little bit weightier than the wood. Okay. Oh, sorry. The next thing is complexity, and then we'll get into. This is where we'll talk about mechanics is later on. Okay, so complexity wise, both games can have a learning curve with just setup.
Yeah.
The first time we played first, second edition, we didn't understand that times 6 doesn't mean 6 cards.
Right.
It means 6 of each card. So I'm surprised they didn't improve on this, because that threw me off the first time. Both editions can have hidden little rules that if you don't read carefully, you can mess up. So there is a mess up in the setup here in the third edition here. You're supposed with a 2-player game, you play with the F side, not the A side. The appendix is where they say it correctly, but not in the setup. So you play with the A side in the 3-4-player game. So there's a little minor thing there with a mistake. But in terms of complexity, I would say the third edition requires more. When we get to mechanics, is more difficult to play well.
Yes.
Because you're going to be using your feat cards more to do luck mitigation.
Yeah.
And your swag more to change the results of dice. So because you got to pay attention to your hat, how you use your hat and your MacGuffin, which is a swag card, and then your feat cards, it's more complex. And also, too, to play these correctly.
Agreed.
It's slightly more complex.
Yep.
In the first, second edition, it's a lot simpler.
Yes.
But some people complain about that because they basically, it uses that boring Yahtzee mechanic.
I like that.
So when you go, setup wise, you're playing this board.
Yep.
Here you have some options on which side you want to play. But it's pretty easy. You go there, you get the token. You do the action, or you get the token or the action. And you have the Yahtzee mechanic, as you see here. You roll once, you can roll up to 2 more times, and occasionally you'll have feat cards or swag that can change things.
Right.
So this is a lot simpler, and turns don't take as long.
True.
So in the original edition, turns go a lot quicker. But now in the new edition, because you do have more cards you can use, more things you can use. Turns can take a long time. So I don't know if I would want to play this edition with 3 or 4 players.
No.
The original edition, we have played with 3 players. It still went fast.
It's really smooth.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one,
no.
Turns are slow because the leader takes her action. Then everybody takes this action, which is refreshing cards, including the leader. Then the leader rolls the dice. And you're looking, okay, I need 4s or higher. Okay, I got a 4 and 6. And now you're thinking, okay, do I do a focus reroll? Spend any number of my focus tokens here just to reroll these dice? Oh, do I have enough focus tokens to do that? Oh, I got to use one of these dice. And then rotate the card and then decide if I'm going to use focus tokens. Or do I do this one and spend a number to lock them and then reroll what's left? But again, I have to have enough focus tokens. Oh, wait, I have feed tokens. Do I want to use my feed card to do that? So this makes every turn you're doing that.
Right.
Which makes it more complex and makes it take longer. Whereas here, it's quicker in the first and second edition. There's not as much dice. You can have all these feed cards, but there's not as much. Occasionally you'll get a card here that allows you to manipulate as an extra die or manipulate dice. It's not as much as here. The deck is half the size, yet almost every card in here, so there's a lot more dice that allow you to manipulate things.
True.
Okay. So what was the point of that? What was I talking about again?
Complexity.
So the third edition is more complex,
Yeah.
but some people might like that because in the first and second edition, they complained it was too much like Yahtzee, boring. They think it's a boring mechanic.
I like it.
And so we'll get to that in playing time in a minute here. Okay, so playing time, third edition, takes longer.
Oh, yeah.
Because I just talked about how you got swag cards, feat cards, you got your hat and your MacGuffin.
It's too much.
Now, in this first, second edition, you can do a focused or a refocused roll, and you spend your tokens, but you're not looking at all these different things you can do. Now, it does increase a little bit between every turn. You're going to get something, possibly. So even if you're playing with 3 or 4 players, we all get to refresh their cards. But then you're still going to sit there twiddling your thumbs.
Yep.
Why the person is trying to maximize their results so they don't get a tentacle and miss out on getting the points.
True.
So playing time's more in the third edition. But the complexity is higher, which some people might like. Okay, age and audience. You can play the original edition with younger people. However, there's more text. So they have to be, unless you're helping them understand the cards, there's more text on these cards. Here they managed to basically...
It's very cut and dry.
There's not as much text. So both games require somebody to help a younger person read if they're not an independent reader.
Sure.
And so you can play the first or second edition with a younger audience. The third edition will require a more experienced younger person because of how they have to use their swag and feed cards. Okay, so design and mechanics. So I've talked about the mechanics a lot and comparing it. There's more variety in this one. It gives you more feed cards that are useful. Here, sometimes you get feed cards like, I can't really use it. The turn order is different. So they simplified the turn order in the third edition. You'll see the difference right here. This card represents the new edition. Right here is the first, second edition. So you still reveal cards if all of them have been explored. You explore, that's the same. Now desperation it's interesting, is that you can win a location by spending courage tokens, which are called mystery tokens in the third edition, instead of rolling dice. So, in other words, when you go to a location with this card here, if you have 4 courage tokens, you can just win the location without even rolling. They did away with that in the 3rd edition. So that phase is missing. The encounter is pretty much the same. That's where you spend swag and feat cards. Now you check for terrible thing. They embedded that in with the resolve. If you fail, you get a tentacle, what they call a terrible thing in the 1st, 2nd edition. In the 3rd edition, they call it a tentacle. Now what's different now in the 3rd edition, they don't have a trading post action every turn. In the 1st, 2nd edition, every turn you get to go to the trading post. You can switch out one card and buy. So basically, you're going out on the river, you encounter a spot, and you go back to the trading post. Here, the only time you go to the trading post is if somebody goes to this location, although you get the monkey tile, which means you can buy something later on your turn. So what's interesting is you can acquire swag. Everybody always goes back to the trading post. So thematically, you're going out to the river to encounter something, and then you go back.
Yeah.
Then you go out again, and you come back. And there's actually a turn order that matters, because you can get, when you reset the cards in the 1st, 2nd edition, you can go first on the next round.
Oh, yeah.
And it's worth 1 point. I can see why they did away with that, because somebody can go last and then go first.
Right.
In the next round.
And they get 2 turns right in a row, yeah.
Oh, by the way, in terms, the 1st, 2nd edition has more take that.
Yeah.
You can really mess with people more in this edition than you can in the 3rd edition. Really, in the 3rd edition, it's more of a race game. You don't really mess with each other, other than getting something that somebody else may like, may want. Whereas in this one, there's opportunities to take tokens and
really mess with people.
Right, and in fact, when you get the what cards were those?
I don't know.
Well, the objective cards. There's more objective cards with the. These can be gained any time in the 1st, 2nd edition. You didn't have to go to a location to get it. There was more objective cards, and it was easier to steal them. Okay, so there's a little bit more take that there.
Right.
So mechanics-wise, 1st, 2nd edition, turns go quicker, but it's simpler. Some people don't like that. 3rd edition is more complex. The game takes longer, but there's less take that.
Right.
Okay. Learning the rules. Both have issues with hidden rules and with things that needed to be explained on BGG.
Yeah, I remember that you did have to look some stuff up.
And then, lastly, educational merit. Other than mathematics,
that's
and rolling dice, and if someone's into H.P. Lovecraft and they want to read, this can inspire them to read his books. Although, it's pretty high level reading material. Right. I think he tests at the high school level at least.
Wow.
H.P. Lovecraft, maybe even early college. Some of his books, the vocabulary. I'd have to look up the Lexile level. I know it was pretty high.
I'm sure.
So now let's take a look now at how we review it. So the 1st, 2nd edition. Well, let's put it this way. What would you rather play? Would you rather play the new edition or the old edition?
Depends on how tired I am.
Okay.
That's really what it boils down to. But I do like the speed of the first one, but I don't like the take that of the first one.
Okay, so there's not as much, but there is some.
Yeah.
So this is quicker.
Yes.
The 1st, 2nd edition.
It. And I like the Yahtzee component of it.
So one thing I didn't show is that there was an expansion where they included those white dice that which you use for resources, and the expansion did have the hat and the MacGuffin, which you can use for luck mitigation. So there was a mini expansion that did away with the Yahtzee mechanic. What they did with the 3rd edition is that they combined this mini expansion and made it part of the 3rd edition. Okay. So for me, yeah, it just depends. I'm glad we have both.
Oh yeah, I like having both.
If we want to play something that has a little bit more complexity,
the new one.
The new one.
Yeah.
But it's going to take longer. If I don't want to play a game that's as long and it's a little bit more, I guess you could say, you just don't want to play a game that's that long. You play with the 1st and 2nd edition. So I think people will enjoy. Fun. I think people who want a more complex game will like the 3rd edition more.
I think so too.
It's just that turns might go a little slow. It took us a little while to get used to how the hat and the MacGuffin works.
And I still have issues. You'll see that in the playthrough that David is still having to help me because I get very confused.
See, I didn't have to help her much of the first or second
No.
edition because the Yahtzee mechanic's pretty easy.
Yeah.
But
This one is more challenging.
so how would you rate it? How would you rate the new edition here?
How would I rate it? Let's see. I would say good. 7.
Usually willing to play? Mm-hmm. And me, I would say the same thing, 7. And I would say for both.
Yeah, for both. Yeah.
And that's, so I think I rated it at the original an 8 at one time.
Oh, did you?
But because we have a choice between the two, I'm going to say they're both 7s because, again, it comes down to the playing time and how much complexity.
Definitely.
So I know some of you are like going, we can't get the first, second edition. Well, some of you have it. And that's why I went through this. You might be thinking, do I really want to upgrade it?
There you
One
go.
thing I would say about the third edition, it'll be easier for them to do new tiles, okay, the new locations. I think this opens it up more for them to do more expansions, whereas it was kind of messy. They kept on updating the first, second edition,
Right.
and it got, like I said, this is more streamlined now.
Oh, I think so.
Maybe they can come out with a version somehow that would make it quicker. Cause I can. That's what I worry about. If you're playing with 4 players, I can see.
Oh, I'd get bored real quick.
I can see taking at least 10 minutes.
I would walk away from the table, go do something else, and then come back, do my turn, and leave and go away again.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Yeah, you're going to get something. So I think number of players is a factor too on which one we would play.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well,
Hopefully
thanks for
that helps
watching.
you. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. We hope you guys had fun, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.
All right, take care.
Bye.